A Stanford professor and Earth Sciences chair has been working with China's nuclear weapons program. That's according to an investigation by the Stanford Review. Earlier, I spoke with David Shedd. He's the former acting director of the Defense Intelligence Agency and author of The Great Heist. David Shedd, thank you so much for joining us here today.
I'm delighted to be here with you, Jack.
Now, I want to talk about your newly released book, The Great Heist. But first, let's get into a recent Stanford Review investigation that found that Stanford's Earth Sciences chair co-authored over 50 papers with an entity tied to China's nuclear weapons program. How concerning is this?
It's deeply concerning, but not surprising. That sounds like it's at odds with each other. The fact that it's not surprising is the academic communities, and we had it with Professor Weiber at Harvard, the head of the chemistry department, who now works actually in China. The kind of case of where collaboration on joint research was very matter of fact. In other words, they're doing research for the benefit of the world, or whatever their rationale is for it, and really looking at China as benign in that sense of the word of joint research, whether it's in biochemistry or bioscience, and now the nuclear side. And we had the Wenho Lee case way back when, I'm talking about 20-some years ago, maybe longer, at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and this was the research and then the designs for a miniaturized warhead of a nuclear weapon. So it's not new information from the standpoint this case is new, perhaps, in uncovering it, but that's why I say it's not surprising. And the Chinese have leveraged this dramatically in academia and in our national lab systems.
And are universities in the U.S. unintentionally serving as a gateway for Chinese military access?
Well, oftentimes the universities and the departments in those universities have cooperation programs already in place in terms of joint research. And they really let the tenured professors do their thing with the counterparts, in this case with counterparts from China universities. And so when you think of it, it's not a deliberate plan to allow them to get the secrets that the university has. But when you think about the advanced degrees that are being sought by Chinese students in our major universities in the area of science and technology and engineering, and that, why should it surprise us that that would be very beneficial to the Chinese? And it goes, in a way, I don't want to say it entirely flies under the radar of the school or the university's administration, but in many ways it does.
And now, David, the CCP is effectively stealing our defense secrets, as you argue in your new book, The Great Heist. What does that mean for U.S. economic security?
Well, it's at the center of U.S. economic security, and with my co-author Andrew Badger and I, the case that we make in this book of The Great Heist is that China, under a very strategic plan known as Made in China 2025, which kicked off 3 years after Xi Jinping came to power in 2012. So in 2015, they launched a plan to go after 10 major sectors, some of which are one for one in the defense sector, in terms of stealth technology, in terms of nanotechnology, AI, and then commercial sectors, for example, electric vehicles is part of it. Green energy, they're very, very advanced in green energy. This is all part of a concerted effort over a 10-year period, which now has been extended to 2030. So there's another 5 years of life to it. But in the process, and I have to go back all the way to 2001 when China joined the World Trade Organization, and that was an ambition from the United States. It was bipartisan in terms of driving that membership, believing that China would play by the economic rules of the international order. It clearly has not.
And I want to get into one part of this book, The Great Heist, of how You described where the Chinese stole EV technology from Tesla. How did that happen?
Elon Musk in 2018 went to Beijing and negotiated a standout, an exceptional agreement with the Chinese in which they would allow Tesla to come into China as a fully owned U.S. entity. In other words, an exception of the rule of doing joint ventures, of which the Chinese obviously have 51%, and the foreign investor and the one who's coming to manufacture or bring their capabilities to China, it's 49%. That's kind of the measure of it. Musk gets this 100% ownership still as an American company. Groundbreaking occurs in January of 2019, in which 3 days separated from that, an individual back here in the United States, Mr. Cao, downloads the $1 billion source code associated with driverless cars. What an irony. At the time of the groundbreaking, there is someone exfiltrating on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, done under the auspices of the Ministry of State Security, and I'm happy to elaborate on the Ministry of State Security, and takes out the source code for this and immediately resigns from Tesla. So while the groundbreaking is happening in January of 2019 to produce Teslas in China, obviously enticed in the case of Elon Musk by a market of 1.4 billion people, it's taken out and now it's found in BYD, X cars, all the other EVs around China.
Well, David Shedd, thank you so much for sharing your insights here today. Great, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.